Welcome back to the PreVetted Podcast, where we spotlight extraordinary people and remarkable talent reshaping our world. Today, I am joined by Syed Omar. He's founder of LOLA AI, a platform built to help businesses unlock scale through AI. Syed has started his entrepreneurial journey at 13 with a clothing company and has since built a media agency, led sales team, and is now focused on what he believes is the next frontier, using AI to remove the ceiling on how far a business can grow. Syed, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Federico. How are you doing today?
So, tell a little bit about who you are and what Lola is, but can you tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you're doing now?
My name is Omar. I've been building businesses, I'd say, since the age of around 13 to 14. I've been in this space around 13 to 14, I'd say, only because I've seen my father being an entrepreneur since a very young age. So I was quite drawn towards building businesses and doing all these different sort of things than what most people do when they are young. I was never inclined towards video games and stuff like that, so I was more towards that end. Yeah, so I built my first company. It was called Vesture. It was more of a streetwear clothing company. So I'd say this is a little bit before lockdown when I started. I'd say 2019, around 2019 is when we started. I started with two other friends of mine. And then, yeah, we did that. And then after that, I went into the social media part of things. So, where I handled creators and then we handled brands. We got a lot of brand deals done. We did a lot of social media for brands and all of that. Yeah. And then I've now pivoted to Lola. And with AI, I'm building something that can automate all of your business's phone calls and can actually help you unlock scale in terms of you don't need to answer any of the cold calls you get as a business. You don't have to spend your time on qualifying leads and any of that thing because we handle all of that.
It's very interesting what you're doing with Lola. I mean, how did you come up with the idea of Lola and what problem were you trying to solve?
I mean, very simply put, if I have to tell you, as an agency, the most important thing that you try and do is, I'd say, you try and generate leads for a brand, right? I think that's the most important thing we do, right? We do all sorts of ads, all sorts of social media posts for them and stuff like that. But what brands don't understand is once they get such an influx of leads coming on their way, they don't know how to close that because they are absolutely gobsmacked sometimes by how many people want same amount of details time and time again. Now a business owner doesn't have the time to answer every single query or doesn't have time to respond to all of the messages, and sometimes they tell the agency to do that, but that's not our job. Our job is not to close for them, right? So I thought, and they blame it on us after that. They come back to us and be like, you know what, we have no ROI, we have no ROAS and all these sort of things. And then we're almost like, oh my God. And they start fighting with us. So I thought, you know what? Let's solve the problem and absolutely finish the funnel as well, where we can actually help them close these people, get rid of all of the queries that people have through an AI agentic system that can answer every single question dynamically. I mean, you can add FAQs onto a website and stuff like that, but those are very static answers. They never change. And those are the very boring questions that people might have. But we've just created it in such a way that it can do everything while also have reasoning with it.
Right, right. And because the FAQs is based on set and forget. You read it once and
Exactly.
then, and it's
And
usually
that's very
outdated, right?
limited amount of questions, right? I mean, somebody might have a totally different question about your product that you would not have anticipated. And how are you going to tackle that? And he's just going to look at that FAQ and be like, oh my God, this does not answer my question. And I think the most important thing that I also see with Lola is, I cannot control when you see my ad. You might see my ad at 8 p.m. in the night or 9 p.m. in the night. And, business hours are usually up until 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. And the owner is not going to answer a call at 10 p.m. I mean, depends on how hands-on he is, but most often they don't, right? I mean, I know in Europe they don't. In India, they might just because we work around the clock, I have to tell you. But yeah, so when you don't speak to the possible lead of yours within the next 15 to 20 minutes, right, and you give him time to think overnight, or should I even reach out to them? Because he has to remember it the first thing next day in the morning to reach out back to you. right? And he's going to forget, or he's going to lose interest, or he's going to think of enough things as to why he should not get the product. And he just drifts away and you never catch that client. So what if you just had every single person converted instantly? If they have the idea, they call you, they message you, done, it's answered, it's taken care of. That's the problem Lula is actually solving.
Interesting. I haven't thought it that way, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
You also talk about that you're not using Lola to close meetings, but actually close sales, but book meetings, right?
Yeah. And that's very intentional on our end. You'd ask me, yeah, again, right? It's a very fair question. An agency owner or a business owner will tell me, why can't it just sell for me, right? That's the most human feeling of trust that we need to build when we're about to do a sale, right? You're not gonna buy something from me if I just answer a phone call, right? And more importantly, some of the things we sell are so high ticket. You're not gonna buy a house over a phone call, are you? You're gonna have to go see the house. You're gonna have to do a ton of meetings and stuff like that, right? So first, our ticket price is pretty high because we do a lot of real estate companies. So it cannot possibly be closed on a phone call. There needs to be a human in that loop. And second, I think we're in this place with AI that we're just too scared that it replaces us. So it instills that fear in somebody of, oh my God, this agent is doing everything for me. I don't know if he's giving me the right data and stuff like that, right? So you're going to still have that fear because we're so scared of it replacing us. I don't see that sense of trust that a human might have with AI as of now. And that's why we still want to keep a human in the loop, but we want to filter out all the bad intent leads with the good intent leads so that it's pretty clear as to who you should be speaking to and not waste your time on the others, essentially.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, the closing, it's a level of trust that right now agents cannot handle. And trust is on both sides, the seller and the buyer, right?
Exactly. I
Yeah. I
mean,
mean,
who
I
knows?
wouldn't trust it. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'd say 2, 3 years down the line, when everybody has their own AI personal assistants, it could go and, buy things for you without even having a human in the loop. Your agent speaks to my agent and it just closes like that, right? I think that's something that we're heading towards, and that's how I see it happening. There are a couple of companies actually that I've seen that are being built right now. It's an AI assistant shopper to some way. So it understands the kind of clothes you wear and all of that, and it just goes on the internet. You give it a budget, it goes, buys clothes and all of that for you. Right. So we're getting there.
Interesting.
Maybe a small ticket price right now. But as it goes on, I'd say your agent speaks to my agent. If it feels it's worth it, it's going to go ahead and do the deal.
The other thing that I find interesting is that you were able to build this product, but you're not a technical person. So that's an interesting position, right? Can you tell us a little
Yeah.
more how you were able to build a product?
Yeah, I'd say I'm not technical in this sense of I may not know how to code exactly, but I still have that technical ability of being able to think in systems. I think that helps you. And along with that, I mean, let's be honest, we're living in the day and age of AI where every LLM model is putting out an update every single week or so, right? Where, Claude may come out with Opus 4.6, it has Mythos coming out, and all these sort of other things that are happening. And you really don't need to be the most skilled code person out there, because I think the first thing it's taking over is code. But you still, I feel, need to be able to think in systems, and you need to be able to, trust your intuition still, right? Because that's still very important. If the agentic system just tells you, you know what, this is the right decision, let's go ahead with it, and it's not what you want to build, then you're going to go down the whole wrong rabbit hole. And you don't want to do that. And what you could stop by doing that is you actually, being like, wait, let me think. Is this the right way we're going ahead? And actually questioning that. But most of how I built Lola is honestly through all of these LLM models and AI agentic systems that I built for myself along the way to help me. I actually started with AI automations back in 2025, early 2025. I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy called Siam Kit. He's a crypto research guy, essentially. I'm into the financial markets pretty big as well. So I was listening
Right.
to him, and he has this one book. I forget the name. He has this one book, right? So he has the first book called the Crypto Book, and he has another one. I'm forgetting the name. And then in that, he mentions, how crypto and AI agents are going to be the next big thing. So when I was reading that, I'm like, what is AI agents? Let me go read this and understand this. And then I went down a deep rabbit hole. I started using all the tools then, which was NA10, Make.com, and all those sort of things. And I think that was where my introduction to what AI could be, more than just writing my emails and essays for college and stuff like that. And that's how I fell down that rabbit hole. And I just, at the end of the day, I think it's curiosity. I'm sure you have it as well, and you use AI every single day in a lot of tasks that you do. It comes with a genuine curiosity, and you need to be a little bit humble. If you're arrogant and you say, oh my God, I know it, I don't need an AI, I don't need anything, then you're going to get left behind.
Completely agree. I mean, the reason I'm asking more than the how is that I think it's interesting to share with the audience that, because a lot of people are afraid to get started on vibe coding or get started on building something because they feel that they don't know enough, right? So
Yeah,
coming from curiosity and being able to get in there and understand how things work, right? Then you can start building, even though you might not have, the technical credentials to do it, right?
exactly.
I've done a similar path. I mean, I haven't graduated from university, but I'm managing
Yeah.
people that are software engineers, right? So I built my software engineering career from the same curiosity that you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, exactly. So it's a lot about how you use to utilize what you have with you, right? Rather than just getting scared of, oh my God, it's going to take away what I do. I think we need to be more inclined towards how can I optimize what I'm doing, or how can I go further in what I am doing with AI. So I think once you add that into your thinking, it should not be too difficult for you to grow exponentially with AI.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think that having that curiosity and finding a problem and then being able to figure out how to solve it, it becomes much more important than actually knowing the specifics on how to build it, because then you can figure that out, right?
Exactly.
On the on the internet, people talk about spec driven development, which is we used to think as a software engineer, we used to think as how to build something, right? We have to design it, we have to abstract it, right? But now it's about what are the specs, what are the expected behaviors for this application, right? And understanding the whys, because then the coding, you can delegate it on the agents, and then you can review the code, right? And guide it, right? Guide the agents
Exactly.
towards making it better, right? Um,
Yeah.
and that's the new approach for building products.
Exactly. I think you must know it most of all, being helping all these founders in San Francisco and all. I think you see this on a day-to-day basis where everything is getting more towards just being able to think what the outcome is, and the work can be done very easily.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean the people that I work with, the clients that I work with, I guide them on how to build it better and how to build their teams so they can build as fast as possible, right? And I'm actually working on a book about this where I talk about how the cultural differences creates rework, creates misunderstanding, lack of alignment that affects how fast can the team build the product, right? If you have to rebuild
Yeah.
it because there was a misunderstanding, then you're wasting time and resources.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, when you're doing that yourself, you're running multiple roles, but it's all happening in your head, right? Now,
Yeah,
when you have a
for
bigger
sure.
team, the level of misunderstanding can increase because the message can get lost on the way.
Yeah. Is that game of Chinese whisper, right? What starts never comes what's in the end.
Right, right. And whatever assumptions you make, whatever, issue that you didn't speak up because you run with it, then that creates misalignment, right? You or anybody on the team, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
And it gets bigger when you have teams working on different time zones, different cultures, different locations, right? That issue becomes bigger. And then the other invisible factor in all that is a personal relationship with the people, right?
Yeah.
If it's an email address, if it's an avatar, if you have a close relationship, you're less inclined to speak up and say, hey, I see this issue, right? How we're going to solve it. But if you build that relationship, then you're more inclined to say, I have the trust that I can speak my mind and there's not
Yeah.
going to be a repercussions for it.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're coming from an experience of entrepreneurship where you're basically pushing towards the rules, right? You're just breaking the molds, right? So you have that hunger for revolution, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I found that a lot of people are more afraid to speak up, right? Because they don't want to, I don't know how to say it, rock the boat, right? They're
Yeah.
a little bit more afraid of doing that, right?
I think it's all about your resilience and what you really want to be. I think the end of the day, don't you think so as well? It's on what goals you set for yourself and how you decide to get to that. And depending on that, you put in what you have to and you speak what you have to and, put
Right.
out all of that. So I think at the end of the day, it's all towards what are you working towards the end.
Right, right. But the experience that I had was that I would expect from people that I would hire the same expectation that I would have for me.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
and that became an issue for two reasons. One
For
is
sure.
because, I mean, how many 14-year-olds has started their own company, right?
Yeah.
Very few,
Yeah.
talking about you. And then the other thing is the speed. How many 20-year-olds build an AI agent company, right? So you are outside of the norm, right? And I'm saying this in good way, right? So if you expect the same from everybody else coming from
Yeah.
outside of the norm, then that's going to have a conflict, right? And that happened to me when I was expecting people to push as hard as I would, right?
Yeah, and I felt that with myself as well. So even prior to this, if I could go back to, when I first started my first company, I did it with two of my closest friends. And up until when we were in school and all of that, the ideas were aligned and what we wanted to do was pretty aligned, right? We wanted the same things and stuff like that. But, as we grew older, how we wanted to scale the business or what we wanted to do with it, what new we could do to it and stuff like that, they lost some of that zeal towards it. And, it was me on that end going like, guys, we have to work. We need to get this done. We can do this. And they're like, what? We're getting revenue. We're so young. Why are you so worried? And I'm like, no, we can grow more. We can go grow more. And then I think at some point you have to realize it's not going to work. Because the one thing that I'd say that I did probably wrong or right, or I learned a lot from it is I used to just hire some of my closest friends always. If somebody comes to me, they're like, what? I'm learning video editing. They said, okay, fine, you're hired. Go do this. Send me these 5 edits in the next week. And they're like, I don't have that much time. I have university to attend to, a college to attend to. And I'm like, no, this is more important. Trust me. You'll make money off of this. We'll grow through this. And they're like, no, we cannot work at that scale, at that level. And they could, and I was just trying to push all of my friends, what, let's go, let's do this, let's do that. And I understood I am not going to find another me. It's just not possible. They are not going to have the same hunger, whatever I do. And I worked with people elder than me as well. I remember I started something with this 30-year-old, 32-year-old at that time. And I was 18 at the time. And I used to tell him, okay, you know what? Let's get up in the morning. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's do all of this. And he's like, my morning doesn't start until a long time. And then I'm like, no, we have work to do. He calls his day at 8 o'clock. He's done. I'm ready to work throughout the night. But the ideologies just don't match. And it's for me, what I did not understand back then is I always expected everybody to have the same goals for the whole company, right? And I wanted all of them to work only towards the company and nothing else. And that doesn't work. And that's only because you're seeing a vision and they cannot see the same thing alongside you. It's my job as in, say the leadership of the company to try and show them that vision so that they work for it. It's not always possible. And, I always thought because they are some of my closest friends, I could always bank on them to work that extra hard and, go that extra mile. But yeah, it just doesn't work like that. When they have their priorities, they have their priorities. Some people would love much rather play games. I'd much rather build companies and do work. And that just never matches. And I cannot explain that to people. So yeah, that was a little difficult and a hard truth pill for me to swallow.
Completely agree. I mean, it's hard and it's a delicate balance to be able to transmit your vision, to convey your, I call it stubbornness. Probably that's not the right word, but the stubbornness to just push forward, right? And yeah, so I learned to expect less from people that I would, and we've been able to have a better working relationship after that, right? But it's a lesson learned through experience. Yeah.
Again, so when you're young, you try and tell them a lot, but then you don't want to strain your friendship over a business, right? Because the friendship, I'd say, is still more important to me, right? Because they've been through with me. But, when they're not doing the work, it gets strenuous. That's why I think I don't work with a lot of my close friends on a partner level basis. I don't find it suitable for me. It doesn't work for me. I like having other partners. But again, that's just how I have learned things. Maybe down the line, who knows, if their mindset changes or if my mindset changes with a little bit more maturity, then possibly something down the road. But for now, I don't think I would. I don't think it would make sense.
Yes, I completely agree. I mean, you need to have friends where the relationship is pure in the sense of friendship, and then you need to have people that you work with. That way, you can have a time to relax and a time to work,
For
and
sure.
mix them up. It's a recipe for disaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, going back to voice to Lola, right? The voice on Lola sounds almost human, right? When I
Yeah.
heard it before for recording, and that's very hard to do, right?
Yeah.
What was your experience with the voice quality?
Oh, it was quite difficult, if I'm being very honest with you, Federico. I faced a lot of challenges in terms of, first, you have to first tackle something called latency, which is the speed at which it replies to you. It can't be too fast. You get these recorded phone calls, right? That just speak at an incredibly high rate, and then you just can't understand what they're talking about, and you cut the call within 1 second. Or it could be too late. What if it takes 2 seconds for one response? So you're not going to listen to me. So, first, that was the first issue that we had to do. And then we had to get the voice done and all of that. And then there's something called tonality. We as humans, we change the tone of how we speak in a sentence a lot. All of our words, if they're in a straight tonality, nothing excites you, right? We change our tone multiple times in conversation to make you feel emotions about how and what we're speaking about. And that was another challenge. But I'd say the biggest one was actually interruption handling. You spoke to Lola. So if you interrupted Lola, it stops. It understands what you're speaking. So how the human brain works is, like when I was thinking about it, we are able to handle interruption while we understand what you're saying, right? We can also comprehend all of that. We can also speak to you at the same time, and we can also gather our next thought all at the same time, which is absolutely
Right.
ridiculous, right? And we can do all of that. But how are you going to replicate that in an AI model? Right? And that was a challenge for us to, think, rather me, to think and, figure all of that out so that Lola could speak in a very human-like manner. It did take a lot of time. I'm very thankful. I had a couple of mentors along the way, who guided me through the process. They didn't give me final answers, of course, nobody can, but rather opening my way of thinking as to, this is how you should think of it, this is how you should tackle the problem and stuff like that. Along that way, I think, yeah, and you can see the final product now, right? I think you spoke to it as well, and I hope you liked it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like it very much, and it it feels almost human. I mean, there's always, you know, if you look at the details, you kind of,
Of
you know,
course.
yeah. But you really have to try hard. I mean, if you don't know the context, then I think it's what I call 90% human, right? You feel like
Exactly.
it's human, right? And in some situations, you feel there's something odd as the agents are evolving, but it's again, you have to try hard to find them, right?
Exactly. I think as we grow with time, even humans will get more comfortable with just speaking to AI agents. So that psychological effect in your mind, I think, would also go away of, oh my God, I'm speaking to an agent. And of course, we're going to try and get out as many updates into the Lola's voice and all of that to try and make it the best possible we possibly could on our end so that it feels like the most real conversation you're having. And yeah, that's the aim of the company, essentially.
And tell us a little bit about how do you talk to business owners, that are afraid to use AI, or, a little scared of using AI on their, you know, front-facing, customer-facing systems, right?
Yeah. I think it's very simple. It's either adapt or get left behind, right? It's like the jungle law. It's survival of the fittest, right? And if you don't adapt with your time and make use of what's best in your time, then what's the point? That's like, would you bring spoon to a war? No, you're gonna bring a gun. And if you have a gun, if somebody is ready to offer it to you, why would you bring a spoon? Right. And that's what AI agents and all of this whole new wave that we're having gives you, right? It gives you this opportunity to go ahead with efficiency, to go ahead with all these sort of optimizations that we can add, give you more free time to actually work on what matters, which is growing the business while we're helping you absolutely get the most of all the leads that you generate and all these sort of things for you as well, right? And if somebody is still ignorant to the fact that we're in an AI world where, close to something great in terms of AI, then I don't even want a client like that. I'm going to tell him, you know what, have a good day, I'll see you later, and I'm going to be off my way, right? I think, but most people from how many conversations I've had have started to understand the fact that this is the truth, although I don't think they do understand the severity of what we are going to get. I'm sure you must know a lot about what AGI is coming, right? Artificial general intelligence. I think humanity is not ready for that yet. As we head towards that, and if you're going to tell you're not even going to use AI, I think the boat is far sailed at that point then.
Right. Right. I think that thinking of AI as the enemy, it's a wrong approach. I think we should think it as not as a foe, but rather as a friend, and
That's
then
just a
being
victim
able to.
mentality, don't you think? That's so that they can just cope with whatever losses they have, right? At that point, it's just that. And we need to get out of that and rather be focusing more on how we can improve ourselves rather than being too focused on it's going to take away this job, it's going to take away that job.
Right. Right. I mean, I think that some of the jobs might disappear with AI, but those are the lower complexity. But there's some people that would need to adapt. But for most people right now, AI, I mean, somebody that knows how to leverage AI is going to take your job, right?
Yeah, for
Another
sure.
human is going to.
Yeah.
So I think that there is a lot of potential with AI. I was seeing people talking about using AI to build organizations, to have agents running and coordinating companies.
Yeah.
The potential is there, right? So basically,
Exactly.
and you're the proof of that, right? I mean, you can run a company using AI agents that was not possible 2 or 3 years ago, right?
Exactly. I think all of the people in San Francisco, or rather all the big tech founders of our time, also just speak about this one thing of we're very close to a day where we see a one-man team building $1 billion business, right? Usually $1 billion business needs at least like 100 employees or 200 people or whatever, right? On whatever scale they're operating. We're not far from the day where we see a single person team with multiple AI agents having $1 billion business. So if somebody can create $1 billion business out of just one man and his ideas and multiple agents just working and doing all the work, I think, all these businesses can integrate without being scared about it.
Right, right. I think that the productivity multipliers with AI it's big, and I think that people are going to have to adapt, but there's going to continue to be opportunities for a lot of people's jobs. It's just going to
Of
be
course.
different types of jobs, right?
Of course, right? And I think that's the essential of what the human race also is, right? We've always found ways to adapt from, you could say, the Stone Age or whatever to where we are at right now, right? We've always just adapted through time. If you read history, I think at the end of the day, that's all we've done, right? We adapted to whatever situation we've been put in. So why not adapt through with this as well, right? Why treat it like the end of times? Although I still am scared even for myself with AI and stuff like that. Please do not get me wrong, right? The more I see about what's happening, I do have that insecurity as well. You cannot kill that off, right? We're still human at the end of the day, but it's still that, as at least use it as long as it's there and it's good, right? Why be so scared of it? I think that's the approach that I'm taking. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I am also have some fear about it, right? I grew up with Terminator, so I
yeah,
am I am afraid of having a Skynet wake up, right? Which, I mean, it was good for the movie. I don't know how close it's going to happen, but there is a version of
I
that
mean,
happening, right?
yeah, I mean,
So
just wait for Elon Musk to launch out Optimus, and who knows what the capabilities with that would be.
yes, yes. I mean, we're getting closer to that level. I think that mostly it's going to be on the information side rather than on the physical side. I mean, we're not going to have a robot killing humans. I hope so, right? But I think we're going to have, agents replacing, taking more autonomy and replacing decision making, and that could be,
Exactly.
that increases the risk for companies, right? So I was reading
Yeah.
about phishing used to be about, uh, you know, making humans click something. Right
Yeah.
now, they're talking about doing the same thing, but for agents, because now agents
Yeah.
have more autonomy, right? And that is becoming an issue,
Exactly.
right? I think that's going to be a more close risk right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, what has been the hardest thing to build Lola?
It depends on what you mean by hard. Do you mean hard with the technical side of things, like to do with the code and stuff like that? Or in general, I mean, no, building a company is never an easy thing, right? You could have all the connections, but it still depends on you on how you build it and stuff like that. And I think this is my first product per se. Before this, I was a lot into services. So when it's a service business, you can blame other things. Like for example, when we used to do ads for other people and stuff like that. Say hypothetically, an ad went bad. We could just tell, oh, the creative was not good, or the creator didn't do well, or this that. You can, oh, the algorithm changed overnight. We didn't expect that or whatever. Can blame 10 things, but when it's a product, it's literally to do with your name. So I remember there was this one day where I had this call with a client and I had to show them a product demo, and I was all excited and everything. So I tried to do the call, like how you got a call, right? I tried to initiate the call and it didn't work, and I was gobsmacked. I'm like, what happened? And there was some issue that I hadn't foreseen, that this could also happen, and it just didn't work. And and that at that point it hit me, oh my god, this is going to come on my name. I cannot blame this onto anyone. I cannot tell, oh no, this didn't work, right? I had to take the blame on myself, and I had to apologize to them or whatever. But all these sort of things happen when you have a product, right? Things can possibly go wrong. But again, it's about how quick you iterate. You learn from what you mess up with, and you learn from that. Again, essentially, I remember after that I called my mentor. I'm like, I messed up, I don't know what to do. And he's like, go first, don't sleep tonight, go figure out what the problem was, iterate, reach out back to them, and this is going to keep happening, don't be surprised about it. Right? So I mean, there is still things sometimes that go wrong. It happens with every single business, right? But then it's on how you find it out, and how quick you are to resolve that, and how you keep on moving after that, and just don't get drowned down into that negative spiral or whatever. You just have to keep it going, because it's going to happen, I feel, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, and on service is different because you can, if there's a mistake, you can say, let me figure it out, we'll correct it, I'll get back to you in one day or whatever. And then you can course correct because everything is a one off,
Exactly.
right? But
Yeah.
here, you build something and now you have to respond for the code that you built, right?
Exactly.
And at the time, you haven't thought about that specific use case or issue, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah,
So
it
that,
becomes an issue.
yeah.
And what would you do different now that you If you had to build LOLA again from scratch today, what would you do differently? What have you learned?
I don't know if what I would do differently, if I'm being genuinely honest with you. I think all of the mistakes that I made were very good, in my opinion, because I genuinely did learn a lot from them, right? Because if I didn't make those mistakes, that could go wrong when I was probably showing it to a client, right? Thank God it went it that whatever broke down only during testing, right? Because when it happens at scale and possibly a client loses 5 6 leads, that's much worse than me, rather than me spending one extra day on development, and that's where it was broken. So I think I'm very happy with all the failures, although I didn't have a lot of the failures. I shipped this product out, I think, in a month and a half anyway. A lot of time as well for me, so it was a quite a quick product build as well from my side, I'd say. There were a couple of wrong paths that I was probably going down on. I wanted to possibly recreate the whole voice at some times because I thought the voice was not good, and all these sort of things that I wanted to do. But I figured out that it's good not to just waste your time on perfecting the product. And I kept getting that from my mentor, which was stop just trying to perfect your product. You will never find out all the issues. Go to market, figure out, take the real insights, then you can keep iterating as to what you need to make better. I think then that's what I did, and then I got to market, and then as and when I see the real use cases, I understand what is possibly going wrong, what I can do better, and all these sort of things, and that's how I've been iterating the product, I'd say.
Right, right. Yeah, I think that's what you're building is a MVP. What is the minimum thing that I can build to prove that
Exactly.
the extraction, and then from there you keep iterating and improving, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And have you been able to find product market fit with the product?
Yeah, we've been testing it out for a couple of companies now. It's a 2 companies right now, and hoping to sign on 2 more in the next week or so. Let's hope. Fingers crossed for that. And yeah, so we have been deploying it. It has been answering phone calls. So, and we can see on how it is actually showing the real intent, and it's discarding all the ones that don't have intent. Of course, we have all the data, so we can measure it all out. It is booking meetings. It is going ahead with all of it. So yeah, people are happy with it. So we do offer a 10-day free pilot for companies to test it out and see if it adds on. The 2 pilots we've had have actually gone through with taking the product on as a service as well. So that has turned out to be a good thing as well. So there is clearly product market fit.
That's amazing. I think
Yeah,
I mean, once you have product market fit, once you can prove traction, then everything else is about scaling the company and being able to provide more features and value to it.
exactly. Having that first sense of validation, I mean, there's nothing like it, if I'm being honest with you. That's the best feeling when somebody says, okay, let's do it. I'm like, oh, thank God. So that's a
Right.
great feeling.
Yeah, that reminds me of the movie. I don't know if you've seen this movie. That shows how old am I am. The Lost Ark. What is the
No
name?
clue.
Riders of the Lost Riders of the Lost Ark. It's Indiana Jones and the Rider of the
Okay.
Lost Ark, where they have to go and find a cup, right?
Okay.
So there is a gap, and they have to do a leap of faith, and basically they have to step on the middle of air, and there is
Mm-hmm.
a bridge, but you cannot see
Mm-hmm.
it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's uh, and it's like this, you build something, you build an MVP out of hope, out of a vision, but mostly it's a leap of faith, right? And until you
Exactly.
get traction, you get you get response from the market is when you are validating your assumptions, and that's when it
Exactly.
becomes a real product.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a great feeling, but I think now it's on to getting more clients on board, getting understanding more, possibly building a team out, so that we can actually move at scale better. So far it's just me building the product with my agents, of course. Yeah, is it possibly good, if we get a team on board and all that, so that we could scale out quickly and try and find more traction.
Right, right. That's amazing. So
Yeah.
what advice would you give a a young person, guy or woman that is trying to or dreaming to
I'm
start their own company?
I'm 20 myself. I don't think I'm old enough to give advice to anybody. If I'm being very honest with you, I'm starting off myself. Yeah, if I had to say one thing genuinely, I'd put curiosity and all of that as well, all in one word. But one thing I'd say that has helped me throughout the most in my whatever years that I've been building is I found myself a very good mentor. And I did that when I was 15. I got to know him, and he's helped me throughout the journey with connecting me with people, teaching me how business works, giving me endless advice and all these sort of things. If I could give like a real advice, it would genuinely be find somebody who has your best of interest at their heart. And I look at it this way, right? I have this thing that I say to people: everybody wants to give you advice, but only listen to those people whose shoes you'd be happy to be in where they are right now in their life. Simply put, right? Because everybody you speak to in your family wants to tell you do this, do that. Oh, this degree is good, this is that. Like you're not the life I want to live. I'm not going to listen to you, right? That's how I look at it. But if somebody who I want to live like, who is living the life that I'd like to live in his whatever his age is, yeah, I'll go and listen to him because that makes most sense to me. He's done what I want to do. That's the only thing I'd suggest to people is find that. And they should have a genuine heart of wanting to help you rather than, having their interest through you. I genuinely tell that. Along with that, you have the more obvious stuff, hard work, this, that. But I think everybody knows that. I think that's the very obvious things. But a lot of things that people don't tell you is, find this. If you look at any of the famous hedge fund managers, right? The most famous one as well, if you look at Warren Buffett, who did he go work under, right? He worked under his mentor. I'm forgetting his name. Benjamin Graham, right? Once he finished his degree, he worked under Benjamin Graham, who was the best investor until Warren Buffett came along. And even if you ask Warren Buffett right now, I think I was watching one of his interviews. A grad student asked him, "What would you do?" "I'm just passing out my grad school." He told, "Go find somebody you look up to, go work under him." Right? Because then you learn the tricks of the trade, right? And you understand by somebody who you look up to, you're ready to put in the hours, right? So you're okay to spend that extra time, go that extra mile because you know what you're trying to unlock through that, right? And that's my only suggestion that I would give to people is go after that. I'm sure you had mentors along your way as well that helped you find your place.
Yes, yes, and they've been very helpful. Actually, I had multiple mentors. Sometimes they would have contradicting advice, and they were coming from different. I don't know if schools is the right word, but different lines of thought. So you have
Mm-hmm.
the technical, you have the business side, you have as founders we wear multiple hats. So having different
Exactly.
perspectives of the same problem gives you richness that otherwise you wouldn't get. Right.
Exactly. So I try and do that for a lot of the things that I step into. I have mentors with specific fields as well. Like if I need help in the financial markets, I have a specific mentor that I go towards. If I have anything towards the business side of things, I have another person that I go reach out to and ask him for all sorts of help. So I think I find that most useful for me as well because they've already made the mistakes, right? Why do you want to reinvent the wheel? Right? It's already there.
Right.
They've fallen and they've learned. And of course, they don't want you to fall as well. So they're going to give you the best direction possible.
Right. And do you know what motivates mentor to find a mentee?
I mean, I would genuinely say it's all about giving back at the end, right? To the people, to the community. I think at the end of the day, I think that's what gives you that sense of fulfillment, and nobody takes that lightly. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have fulfillment at your heart, what's the point? And how do you get fulfillment? By possibly upbringing others, right? Actually helping them climb the ladder, opening doors for them that would not be possible, right? Nobody's going to listen to it. Like I remember when I was 16, 17, when I wanted to get my first clients in social media, nobody was trusting me. It was not possible. And then I had to use his name a lot to get in through to those doors. Just let them help me speak, right? And they were not going to let me even pitch my idea or pitch my service or whatever. And I had to use his name multiple times to just sit down and be like, see, he's backing me. I need you to back me as well. And with that, I think that gives them a sense of accomplishment as to, okay, you know what? I helped him and he's made something of himself. And they're not after what money they make out of me or whatever it is. Even if they do, I think that's good. What that gives them is a sense of accomplishment of, what, I've helped this guy change. And that, I think, is bigger than a lot of things, right? Don't you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you nail it. There, I mean, there is the first concept is to, I think, from my experience, to give back to somebody. That relationship is very enriching because uh, the moment you learn something is when you teach it to somebody else. So being able to give back is kind of part of that journey. After you have some knowledge, being able to give back, and then being able to have the level of enjoyment and fulfillment when you see somebody else finding and discovering the things that are not no longer a surprise for you, right? Because you've been there, you've done that. So getting that that level of wonder, it's something that it's also a very positive feeling, right?
Yeah.
And as you said, helping the other person fulfill their dreams, that's a third component that it's so important, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it is not about a financial gain. It's about helping the other people.
Yeah.
That becomes very important. Yeah, and
Yeah.
to that point, that is what gives humanity hope, right? Because
Exactly.
think about if a child would have the memories of the parents, right? Then all the babies would be all crank, they have a sense of wonder for everything that we when we grow up we take for granted, right? Because we get
Exactly.
used
Yeah.
to. So that gives us the opportunity to embrace new concepts, new ideas, because we come, you're coming as a next generation with a fresh mind, and you can see problems that the older generations cannot see the same way, right? Or it's harder for us to do that.
Exactly. And I think it's a chain effect from that, right? Now, because somebody has helped me so much, I'm going to continue to do the same because somebody opened those doors for me. And I'm going to open those doors for somebody as well when I am somebody, right? When I become somebody of influence, I can then help people again, open those doors for them. And as you said, that's literally the only hope of humanity, of having that kindness in your heart.
Yes, you are somebody.
For
Yes,
sure.
and you're going somewhere, and where you're
Yes.
getting is somewhere amazing, and
Yeah.
you have so much potential that I'm excited for you.
Thank you so much.
Omar, we're running out of time. I truly appreciate you being here today. uh,
Thank you so
any
much, Frederick.
final remarks, any final advice before we wrap it up?
Not really. Yeah, I think I'm good. There's not a lot to add on my end. Just thank you for this opportunity. It's been truly fantastic for me to be able to do this with you. And yeah, you're a lovely person. And I hope we can speak more on what we were discussing before as well to see how we can collaborate possibly. And yeah, this has been of most help. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.